Hey everyone, James Labrie from Dream Theater, and you're listening to or watching the podcast Talking into Infinity with JT and Brian. Enjoy this. These guys are extremely informative. I love their dialogue. I love their interpretation of the songs, who and what we are, what we were going after. They're very accurate in their interpretations and descriptions, and I just think this is a great show, and these guys are doing a stand-up stellar job. So once again, enjoy Talking into Infinity with JT and Brian.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Talking into Infinity, a Dream Theater podcast. I am your host, John. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, talkingintoinfinity.com, and the cmsnetwork.com. We are live at those four locations every other Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the show on Heavy Metal Television. If you'd like to catch video replays of the show, just go to our YouTube channel. And if you would like to download audio versions of the podcast, just Google Talking into Infinity. Without further ado, let me bring on my good friend Brian. Brian, I hate to cut off your intro, but we have a very special guest joining us here in just a second. Anybody who's watched this show for the length of time that we have been doing it, you know him, you love him. He has been Dream Theater's keyboard maestro since 1998, and he is embarking on an upcoming solo tour. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jordan Rudess. Jordan, what's going on, man?
All right, I'm in the show.
You caught us right in the middle of the intro there.
Oh, sorry.
Not a problem, not a problem. So thanks a lot for making time for us. I know you're doing, some press for your upcoming tour here, so we appreciate you making time. So where are you right now? Because you guys just finished up the European tour yesterday, didn't you?
Last night I played for 5,000 people in Istanbul, and today I'm sitting in, where am I today? I'm in LA, actually in Anaheim, getting ready to do the NAMM show.
I actually just came home from Anaheim on Monday, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, they had a Star Wars convention there before NAMM. I almost stayed another week, but
Awesome.
Yeah.
So fast and furious.
Yeah,
all fun and good stuff.
Awesome. So yeah, we wanted to talk to you tonight. You obviously are about to embark on another solo tour, and it is entitled "An Evening with Jordan Rudess." And you are going to be out for 23 dates starting on June 7th in Seattle and closing up shop on August 6th in Fort Lauderdale. So why don't you tell us a little about this upcoming tour that you got going on?
Yeah. Well, let's see. So I just finished a whole 2-month-long Dream Theater tour, and now I'm going to switch modes and do some solo touring. Very excited about it. So it's a very different, kind of a thing, obviously. But I really, really enjoy it. It gives me the opportunity to really play, music that is very close to my heart, and it's very personal and more intimate, certainly, than a Dream Theater experience. But one of the things I've been preparing that I'm really excited about playing for everybody is this new Dream Theater medley of songs. It's like about a 15-minute extravaganza through some of the classic, like epic tracks, bits of this, bits of that, but they all kind of like seamlessly flow together. It's like for the big Dream Theater fans, it's a little bit like an instrumentally, like what we had some years ago, but it's all, at least at this point, it's all written for piano and just covers a lot of ground. So I've been working on the show, excited to get out there and just do my thing, mostly piano stuff, but I'm also going to be playing a little bit of guitar and playing on some of my apps, some GeoShred stuff as well. And and I'll be also, these concerts give me an opportunity to take people on a little bit of a journey about my life and my career, which has been such a, an interesting ride since I started out as a classical musician. I was very young. And, when I was about 18, I veered off and got into synthesizers and progressive rock and electronic music. And, this is a great chance to kind of like take people through that story in a musical, fun way.
Yeah, I guess I was going to ask, this tour is a little bit different in that you're not just up there playing. You're, from some things that I've read, you're going to be going through, your different compositional techniques, varying technologies, your instruments and stuff. It's not solely just, hey, here I'm playing.
Right.
What was the inspiration to change things up a little bit this time and not just do a standard kind of a concert format?
Sure. Well, the last time I went out solo, I did something that we called Bach to Rock. And I probably will do that kind of something leaning towards like a Bach to Rock experience in places where I haven't done it before, because it's just exactly kind of what I was just talking about. It's a chance to go from literally playing Bach to take people through, my journey. So I start with Bach, and then I go into some kind of improvisation, play some classic, prog melodies, King Crimson or Yes, and Dream Theater and LTE stuff. And so that's kind of like, that's the vibe. So this show in places that I've done Bach to Rock will be a little bit different than that, but keeping the theme of bringing people along, my story with music and words.
So Jordan, how long did it take you to come up with this 15-minute medley that you're talking about here? And did you get any input from the guys on, hey, you should try throwing these songs in? Just curious.
I'm sorry, you broke up. Did I get any input? What?
Did you get any input from the other guys on what songs you should put in that medley?
No, the other guys in the group, no, because it was really going to be a, piano.
Right.
But what I did do is I got together with Aaron Boschbu, who is the young composer conductor who I worked with and Dream Theater worked with on Breaking the Fourth Wall, and he did some orchestrations on spacing out Octavarium, and Aaron and I worked together on it because I was on tour when I had this light bulb moment of thinking, what can I do on this solo tour that would be really exciting for me and exciting for other people that would be like Dream Theater related. So I said, oh my God, the one who knows like Dream Theater's music the most outside of the band and could do this with me because he's a pianist and a conductor is Aaron. So I called him up. I said, how would you like to help me, while I'm traveling from country to country, put together an awesome, really meaty kind of Dream Theater medley? He was like, I'd love to do that. So literally I'm in a different country every day, and he's updating me with PDFs of the score, and we're talking, and I'm saying, what, I really want to put a little bit of these walls in here, and I want the theme from Presence of Enemies and Octavarium, and so we're going back and forth, and I'm trying, whenever I get to my dressing room, I'm trying it, seeing how it works, and he'll write one thing, and then I'll play it on the keyboard. I'll go, yeah, but it's cool, but I think I'll play it a little bit more like this. And so I'd send him a video of me playing it, and he'd notate it and musical notation, and all together over the course of a few weeks, this thing has really been coming together. And it's really funny because every time I land at a dressing room, I'd be like, okay, get the piano, the dressing room piano set up quickly, because those are my chances to practice. So, and it was, it's a tough beast.
So one of the things that we do on our show, we actually involve people in the chat. So we do have a question for you all the way from Australia. So our good friend Kale McLeish, she wants to know, are you going to sing on this tour like you did a few tours ago, or is this going to be strictly instrumental when it comes to the song selections?
I haven't really formally planned to do any singing on this run. I mean, I guess it's possible I could break out a song, that hearing that question makes me think maybe I should sing a song. I could bust out. So we'll see. We'll see how the voice feels. A lot of times I'll think, luckily, with my show, I can say, you know what, if I feel like I'm in good voice that day, I'll sing. If not, I won't. So
nice.
If we can do it that way,
Yeah.
Jordan, what was it about the guitar that has you driven now? Because you're always posting all these videos. I'm watching them almost every other day. We're like, oh, I learned a new technique. I learned a new riff. And what is it about that drives you? And has that affected the way you go about composing, maybe your solo stuff, when you're going back and forth to piano and synth? Is that sort of like leaking in now? You're, is that inspiring you in different ways?
I realized that, well, first of all, I guess about a year ago, I kind of got this feeling like, I kind of said to myself, I should really be getting better at the guitar. Like, why not? I could always play a little bit, whenever I pick it up, but I've never really practiced. And I thought, I've got these guitars, John Petrucci over the years arranged a couple of his models, which are of course awesome. And I got turned on to a Strandberg, and I was like, I gotta play that thing. So I started to play, and I quickly kind of realized or remembered how much I love the focus of learning a musical instrument. I love to sit and I love to practice, and I come up with riffs and techniques and the mechanics, because of course the guitar is, a completely different mechanical instrument as far as all the different technical approaches to playing it than the piano. But as far as learning that and spending the time getting into it, I'm really into it. So, and the other thing that's been amazing is that I was able to reach out to the guitar kind of like community, all these guys who are, such great players, and most of them are such great people, and everybody's excited to kind of help me along this journey. So it's been amazing. I'm still really into it.
So what inspired you to actually branch out as a guitar player now? Because you're always innovating, and we'll get to that in a minute, but you're always upping your keyboard game, be it, technique wise or gear wise. Why all of a sudden did you just go, you know what, now I'm tackling the guitar?
Well, when I first started it, I just was enjoying it so much. And I was like, and then I got the feeling like, wow, I can do this. And I was really noticing a lot of improvement. So I said, why not? This is something that I'm really enjoying. And also, honestly, like on tour with my Strandberg, guitar, it's been a pleasure, because I'll be on the tour bus. I can just take it out easily, put it on my lap, play it. I'm backstage after the concert, I'm hanging out, I'm sitting, my guitar is sitting right next to me. The guitar is a great instrument it just makes so much sense. You put it on your lap and you just play. It's so convenient. In many ways, it's more convenient than keyboards, which we're not like just kind of like holding up against your body and just like, you can watch TV. I mean, yeah, there are certain keyboards I can put on my lap, but I have been just enjoying this new relationship with this instrument, and it's becoming a bigger part of my life. I mean, at this point, I consider myself kind of like a hobby guitarist, but hey, if I keep on, improving at this rate and getting all the input from so many of my amazing guitar player friends in the industry, I'll probably be playing some more guitar on some of my solo albums or whatever. So that's kind of where that's at.
Are we going to be seeing a guitar duel with you and John Petrucci at future Dream Theater shows? Is that what you're intimating?
Well, I don't think John Petrucci needs any help. He needs another guitarist. But John's been great. I mean, he's been so sweet about my, I can ask him questions, I'll say, John, like, how do you use the pick in this case or whatever? And, it's not like I'm bothering him that much with it. I mean, John, he's, what can I say? I mean, the guy is, the god of the guitar, and I'm the keyboardist in the band. So I'm not spending that much time like involving him on my guitar journey. But at the same time, I do have some questions because he's right there.
Yeah.
About it. So, but whether or not, I'll be playing guitar in Dream Theater, that was never my intention, my goal in doing at all. And I don't think I'm not looking to make that happen. I don't think John really needs that to happen. So
sure.
I wouldn't count on that.
I was definitely joking, because I'm sure that's probably a daunting thing to even consider hey,
John.
But
people ask me that all the time now, because I guess, I'm in Dream Theater, I'm playing the guitar. So, a duel with John. If I get that good where I can feel like confident and we decide to do something fun one day, well, sure. But I'm not looking to do that. And it's not really on the plan.
Right.
It's cooler anyway when you go do a duel with the Zen Riffer, and you and him go out like that.
Yeah.
A lot visually, it's cooler, I think, anyway.
Right. I'm just imagining like we'll be in the studio writing, and usually I come up with riffs and everything. And I say, John, try this, and I'll play it on the keyboard, and then I leave it up to him to figure it out. But the danger zone now is if I come up with a riff and I'm like, no, John, don't put your finger there. You could actually play it this way. Then he'll hate me forever.
Nice. So you did mention convenience a minute ago, and it kind of leads to something I wanted to ask you about. What is this pocket piano that you're developing, that you're working on right now?
Great question. So actually, I'm here at NAMM, and one of the things I'm going to be showing is the new pocket piano, which is an instrument that was invented by a friend of mine named Josep Bergada in Spain. And when I saw the original version of it, I was really inspired. It's a keyboard that actually has different modules. Imagine like, pieces of a piano, like octave pieces that can almost like snap together. And you can build it to be, anything from like a 1 octave all the way to a 87 note, full-size keyboard. And when I saw it, and I saw that you could have this full-size keyboard in your back, like basically in a backpack, I was like, wow, I love this idea. I got in touch with him. I said, let me, be involved with this, because I have some ideas to make it even better and something that would be so attractive to like every keyboardist that I know. So I got involved, I guess, about a year ago. And actually, tomorrow we're going to be showing this new version of the pocket piano, which features the digital piano sound built into it that I've been using with Dream Theater for the last, few albums. Really excited about it, because there's a lot of digital piano sounds out there, but I think the one that I chose and the one that I use is just so high level and sounds so great that for a keyboardist to have that in his backpack, with this thing, it's powerful and it's really cool and fun.
So Jordan, you have so many different apps and so many different endorsements and so many different things like your Patreon, the USIC, and all this stuff. How many ideas seriously come at you like in the span of a month? Say, hey, Jordan, what do you think about this new app, or what do you think about this new instrument? Is it just like get overwhelming at times?
Everything that I do is out of this passion for music and technology. I live and breathe this stuff. There's not a moment of the day that I'm awake that I'm not thinking about, all these things and generating ideas and putting energy into them, just because I love doing it. It's who I am, is what I do. And that's what makes it possible. The other thing that quite honestly makes it possible is my wife is a producer, and she is so helpful to me in the kind of like balancing this, because I do have to admit that I'm at another level right now of like, kind of like input and activity with the various companies, which I can do. But there's a certain part of it that I do need help, that I am needing some help with, just to manage some of the logistics and the business of it. So, but it's so exciting. I mean, like literally now I'm sitting at the NAMM show, and over the course of the next few days, I'm going to be working with some of these companies that I've put energy behind for the last, period of time, like the Pocket Piano, like another company that all the musicians out there should know about, because it's so awesome. It's called Moises. It's Moises. It's an app that runs on your mobile device, but it also runs on your desktop. And what it does like really great track separation. So like imagine taking your favorite Dream Theater track and just like putting it in Moises, and next thing you know, you've got like the vocals separate, the drums separate, the bass, whatever, like different choices for what you can separate out. And it's like you have access to the individual tracks, and then you can slow it down or speed it up without changing the pitch. And in addition to that, it shows you the chords. So it figures out the chords, and while it's playing, it shows you the chords. So I'm going to be kind of like presenting that to, the public at NAMM as well. Very exciting. And then also I'm working with a company out of India that we're showing a new pedal technology, which is the company's called Black BT. And it's a company that's combined a switch pedal, like a standard kind of switch pedal, and also a continuous pedal. So imagine like a piano sustain and a wah-wah, but in the same pedal. So it's kind of like taking the pedal technology, which nobody thinks about very often, but now we're thinking about it, how to make it better, and going to be showing that. So that's some of the stuff that's going on here at the NAMM show.
It's funny you mentioned voices. I use that all the time. I
Oh,
sing in a cover.
right.
I sing in a cover band, and I take the lead vocal out all the time. Once I feel like I've learned the song enough, I back out the lead vocal to kind of like rehearse to. So I'm very familiar with that. Yeah, my band's starting to use it on guitar parts. The same thing, man. Just like you said. So no, that's man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you, about your technology, but you pretty much just answered the question. One of our viewers, he does have a question. I won't bring it up on the screen because it's like a novel here, so I'll shorten it up a little bit. But our buddy Adam Rishog, he wants to know, with the advancements in audio production, there's been arguably less of a need for quote unquote real instruments when recording an album. Take, for example, drum programs, the programs you've developed. Is there a specific time when you feel it's necessary to create sounds digitally rather than live and in person?
Well, I mean, my world is very much about synthesizers, electronic instruments, about software. And I'm saying that not in the sense that I'm closed or like, to acoustic instruments or anything like that. I love acoustic instruments. I think they're, can be very beautiful and certainly organic, and there's magic there. But also my involvement and my focus has been very much about how to take technology and bring kind of like more advanced expression to the whole game. Like you have to like go into my head and think back when I first started playing the mini mode. People would say, I'd be like, it's amazing. I can play a sound and turn a dial. And as I'm holding a key, like the filter is changing. And to me, that was really expressive. But like to the outside world, it was kind of like, well, when you hit the key, it's not like it's doing like velocity or changing or anything like that. So there was this big argument about about how, those new gadgets, new synthesizers were not expressive. And you could kind of like get their point at that point. But my whole life over the past couple of decades has been about taking technology and computer technology and looking at and bringing in new ways to add expression to these new instruments. And what's amazing is that I really know and I feel that with technology, we're able to bring expression that you've never been able to have before on anything. So like an example of that being that you could touch a Haken continuum, actually it's called. And it's such a sensitive instrument. You just barely can put your finger on it and you can press into it and move it vertically. And it's so incredibly organic, and it's all happening because of the technology. So that old argument has been completely washed away by anybody that's in the know. And now we have this incredible technology, which has allowed this kind of next generation of expression with musical instruments. So it's really important for people to understand that, because that's a wonderful use of like the new technology.
Where's your cat?
Yeah. Well, I know you've only got a few minutes left because, you've got another interview coming up here. So I did want to hit on just a couple of Dream Theater questions with you real quick.
Sure.
So obviously, the pandemic wreaked havoc on everything. And, you guys were kind of laid up for the better part of 2 years. Talk about how finally being able to get on stage again just reinvigorated the band and provided, this fresh, new kind of energy to you guys.
Yeah, finally getting back on the road has been awesome. Give me 1 second. It's got to reach
Sure.
down. Yeah.
We've got technical difficulties at home for Jordan Rudess, y'all.
This is what we call a rest in the music business.
Yeah. Is it a quarter rest or a
full
rest or whole rest? I'm bad with the notation.
Gotta deal with something. So yeah, it's been amazing getting on the road, and it was really hard to get on the road as well. So, but the fact that we're out here has been just incredible. Finally got through all the logistics that it took to make this happen. And luckily got through, the US tour, we got through the European tour, and, successfully without anybody getting COVID and having to cancel the whole thing. And, it's been totally re-energizing. The energy of the fans has been amazing to see. I mean, it is a reality that in some locations, there weren't as many people as there would have been if we weren't having a world pandemic. I mean, it's just what's going on. But when you feel the energy of the people and the joy in that they can get out there and experience live music again. It's incredible. And it's a great feeling. I have to say that, you know, when I first was heading out, it's like, oh my God, what's going to happen? How's this going to work? But the reality of it has been amazing. Though, actually, last night was probably one of the greatest shows that I can even remember, because like we were in Istanbul, Turkey, and the crowd there, it was like at least 5,000 people. And it was so powerful. I walked on stage. I was almost like breathless for about 2 minutes because the energy from the crowd was so strong. I'm like, oh my God, like I gotta like settle down and like kind of collect myself just to, you know, because you want to just play and you don't want to get too like crazy and a lot of play. But the impact of that crowd was so insane. But that was kind of related to what was going on. We just felt this, you know, love and support and energy and wow, amazing.
So that first session, when you guys get back together to start View from the Top of the World, is there just like 8 million riffs just pouring out of everybody to write this? Because you've been pent up for so long and jonesing so bad to get writing again?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I mean, this is a very Dream Theater kind of like situation. I mean, we have a million riffs anyway that are pouring out of us all the time. Our problem collectively, like the let's call it the, you know, the John Petrucci, Jordan Rudess problem, is definitely not like coming up with like riffs and ideas. The challenge for us is to organize them. You know, that's a whole nother thing. I mean, not that it's necessarily like, quote unquote hard for us. We can do it, but I guess more of what I'm saying is that the riffs, they flow out. You know, which ones are good, which ones are bad. What do we want to use? What kind of order? That's the work that happens. So whereas some musicians, it's more like, I can't think of anything I want to do, or you know, they just don't have a lot of choices. I mean, I'll sit at the piano all day and like come up with stuff you've never heard. So, you know, whether it's great, good, or what, you know, that's up to whatever, you know, or if even if I stop to write it down, I mean, that's a whole nother story. I had a guy, I used to play in the Paul Winter Consort many years ago, which was a group that did like kind of world music, jazz, or whatever. And the cellist, a wonderful cellist named Eugene Friesen, would always hear me just sitting down and playing. And he said to me one day, he said, Jordan, he said, you throw away more good music than anybody I know, because I'm always improvising. So I don't know. That's just kind of like my life, just playing, just coming up with ideas and throwing them out there. And it doesn't matter if they stick or we write them down, because it's just how I express myself, you know.
Well, I know you got a few minutes left, but I did have 2 quick questions for you. Sure. How did you guys come up with this set list? Because I know that those, you know, I try to remain spoiler free. But yeah. I know that like when I finally saw the show, I was like, man, did they just go through all the catalog? Like, okay, this one's double digits, this one's double digits. We'll throw in 2 6-minute songs, and then, like, it was a crazy set list for you guys. It was awesome, but it was very interesting.
Yeah, they're great set lists. I mean, you know, honestly, like John Petrucci's, you know, been kind of like the one who kind of mostly puts it out there and says to us, guys, like, what is this? How does this kind of thing feel? Before he does that, though, I will say that, you know, we kind of say, oh, we'd love to play this song off the new album. Everybody chimes in about what they would like to play, and maybe even saying some things that they definitely don't want to play. So John has some input, and he's the one who goes back and he kind of like we have our master list of how long all the songs are. And then, you know, we find out how long we're going to play and what the curfews or whatever. And then very often after getting that information, getting feedback from the band, John will write to us and say, guys, how does this look? And very often it's like, that looks great. And I got to say that this set list has been amazing. And what's really funny about the set list we've been doing is that we play through a whole bunch of songs, and then we only have 3 more songs, but it's an hour more. It's like I always joke with my tech, like I'll get off the stage right before the encore and I'll say to them, don't worry, we just have 1 more song. That 1 more song is what, like 20 minutes or something like that.
Yep.
So it's a dream. It's certainly a Dream Theater thing, but 3 songs take an hour, you know. It's like,
I was just curious, did anyone else complain about this? Because you had me and John going there for a second. I thought you might be doing all of 6 Degrees when you started out with
Yeah, about to crash.
Oh,
yeah, you start off with about to crash. We might get it, and then we're looking at our watch. We're doing the math. We're doing the Dream Theater time math, and we're like, "Are they going to do it?"
No, that's been a great song to play, and it's been fun. It's funny for me to go back and play catalog stuff, especially when I go back and I play stuff that was more around the time when I started with the group, like 20, whatever it is, 3 years ago. Of course, 6 Degrees was the second album I did with Dream Theater. But even that, it's so different than a lot of the stuff after that. It was very like piano based. I remember writing that song, and when I play it, it's really I'm like on the piano like the whole time, playing these kind of nice chords and things, and all this stuff, and nothing else is really like that, but it's very melodic and really nice. And no, it's been it's always a journey for me, a journey of the mind, kind of going into the periods in different ways we were expressing our music.
Awesome. Well, I know you got to go, Jordan. I know you've got another interview coming up. So I did want to bring up one comment from our viewers here. Our good buddy Joe Gebhardt, he says, just wanted to say thank you, Jordan, and to the rest of the guys for making such amazing music and everything you do for us, the fans, being so humble to your fans and down to earth. So.
Oh, that's so nice to hear. Yeah. I mean, the whole thing with sharing music and sharing the energy and the love that I have for the music and for playing. I mean, that is, to me, what makes my life enjoyable and makes it really work. Because not only do I like to play concerts and having the fans react on that level, but I actually like interacting with them. That's why I put together a Patreon, because one of the beautiful things about it is I can live stream and I can, talk to the people, and I opened up a chain of communication where people can write to me over Patreon, and, I'll respond to them, because it makes a nice, clear channel of communication rather than trying to respond to this guy on Instagram, and this message is coming in on Messenger, and this one's on what that's like too, even though I'd like to be able to do that, that's too chaotic. But because I enjoy interacting with people and with fans, I kind of have been able to figure out methods to do it, which are really enjoyable and meaningful to me.
That's awesome. Yeah, that was actually, before we let you go, I was going to have you plug your Patreon, because I know you're doing a lot of stuff with that. That's like your main hub. So
So while I've been on the road with Patreon, one of the things I've been using it for is I keep kind of a daily, like I'll do a video in every town that I go to, and I'm a big walker, so I'll go into a town, a country or whatever, put my bags down in the hotel, I'm out the door, I'm walking around Zagreb, I'm walking around Sofia, Bulgaria, Paris, France, and I got my video camera, and I'm always saying, hey guys, look where I am today, here, and it's really, really fun.
Brian and I actually ran into you doing just that in Columbus, Ohio in 2010.
I'm on the streets. I'm working.
Yep. Yeah, we're driving looking for a parking spot, and we look over and I go, hell, that's Jordan Rudess. So we just rolled down the window. We're like, hey, Jordan, have a great show. You're like, thanks, man. It was cool. So, but yeah. So thank you so much for coming on, Jordan. We really appreciate the time. Hopefully we can do it again sometime. Obviously, our buddy Joe Gebhardt, we feel the same way when we're doing a whole Dream Theater podcast here. So, we're big fans of your guys. So,
right.
Yeah. So
Yep.
Best of luck on the tour, and thanks for making time for us, man. I really appreciate it.
Guys, spread the word about the solo shows. Looking forward to going out there and doing it. And nice to see you both.
Sounds good. Take care, Jordan. Safe travels out there, man.
Rock on.
Thanks.
Bye.
Well, there he goes, guys. Jordan Rudess, the wizard. That's pretty surreal, man. That was a total blast. I could have talked to him for another hour about all the technological stuff he's got going on. That is just absolutely crazy. Like he's got so many things going on, and I completely forgot that I wanted to ask him about. Where's the picture? Is it this one? Yeah, I wanted to ask him what this thing is, and I didn't get time because we're talking about
keyboard.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm like, what the heck? And by the way, he was still waiting backstage. I think I forgot to get our ID.
Oh, geez.
I think he was waiting for us to get an ID, and I was like, how do I do this subtly? I'm not very good at this stuff.
Oh yeah, because we're doing a live show at the same time too. So
I know. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
I can I'll dub my voice in, pretend it's him.
We'll just chop different words out and make sentences out of it.
Right.
Robert Reams says, great job, guys. Appreciate that, man. John Horgan, great interview. Thank you, John. Adam Rishog says, great interview, guys. Thanks, man. Yeah, that was pretty cool. That literally happened pretty much last second for us because we were talking on Tuesday. I'd been on vacation for like the last week and a half, and I got home and I was like, crap, we never figured out what we're going to talk about. And so Brian and I had, spitballed some ideas like, okay, here's what we're going to talk about. And literally a few hours later, Aiken hits me up and he says, hey, I need to talk to you like immediately. So I called him and he says, all right, I need the StreamYard link. Can you take Jordan live at 7:30 on Thursday? I was like, yeah, we can take Jordan Rudess live. So that kind of made our topic for the evening. So
Liquid Shadows says, holy hell, it's Jordan. I don't know who Liquid Shadows is. Is that a new?
Liquid Shadows? Liquid Shadows is a new viewer. So welcome, man. Appreciate it.
Pretty wild looking avatar, I guess you call it.
Right. Yeah, that was really, really cool, man. Brandon Shuttleworth, he says he's seriously one of the greatest musicians of our time as far as his intelligence about music. Fantastic interview, guys. Love it. Well, thank you, Brandon. I appreciate that. Full disclosure, we were kind of nervous about that. I've never really soloed doing an interview with somebody of his stature before. I've sat in on interviews before. I've actually sat in on an interview with Jordan. It was for Wired for Madness, and so I've done that. I sat in on an interview with John Petrucci, which actually we've got a clip of that we'll pull up at some point because I was doing it with Chris Aiken, and Aiken thinks that Dream Theater are like these completely undisciplined, just like rambling songwriters, and it's his one complaint. And I said, dude, you're full of crap. Like, you have to be disciplined in order to keep someone's attention for that period of time. These are lengthy songs. And so when we got John on the phone, he closed the interview by actually posing that question to him. He said, John, I need you to settle a debate. I think you guys are really undisciplined, and John says you have to be really disciplined to hold somebody's interest for that long. And John laughed about it, and he actually answered the question. And so I've got audio it's really funny, and he basically said that we're kind of both right. And so he was really gracious about answering a pretty direct question, and that it was cool. But yeah, this was the first time I ever had to kind of like solo interview somebody of Jordan's stature, so it was a little bit nerve-wracking. That was a lot of fun, man.
Don't go overboard giving me credit for being here. Keep saying it was a solo interview. That's fine.
Well, I mean, you didn't really offer anything. I mean, come on. Like, I mean, let's be honest.
I only asked like 6 questions.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote every question though. I mean, let's pull the curtain back here.
I used like one of yours. Oh my God! I never heard such a self-serving thing.
I'm taking over.
I get to solo interview somebody.
I get one. I get one interview with Jordan Rudess, and then I'm like, "Yep, I'm taking over." What the hell? So, yeah, that tour is going to be cool, man. I'm so pissed that I'm going to miss it. I mean, you're going right to the Kent stage on July 9th?
I think so. Yeah, I have to double check because that's is that Saturday? Yeah, that might be the only problem. I definitely want to go. That's a great venue to see shows like that too.
Yeah, I saw Jeff Tate acoustic there a couple of years ago. And it was man, it was awesome. All right. Toomey brings up a good point. He says he solo interviewed Rita Haney with me. That was a little different to me. I think because Rita Haney is more of like a conversation, and it's like Pantera-esque. It was a little loose, and you were basically the lead on that one. This was the first time I kind of like had to be show host guy. So look at this. Kale, he says, I'm going to work more disillusioned with the band than when I came in. Okay, Kale, I just couldn't ask him about the Australian tour, man. Like, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. He was rolling, and we had questions to get to, so I apologize.
We feel your pain, man.
Yeah,
that's got
Kale's a little pissed because they officially canceled their Australian tour dates, so now he's got to get a refund for tickets he's been holding on to for 2 years. So, so what was your favorite part of doing that, man?
I thought it was an interesting answer. Like when he said, the problem isn't having the riffs. It's like putting them all together,
Yeah.
Like, I would just love to I'd love to see that process. Like, you can see sort of bits and pieces from stuff in studio throughout the years they've done, but I'd want to see, like, I don't know, just run the camera for like 40 minutes while they're literally deciding this is going to be, I don't know, especially something like the title track from View from the Top of the World,
Yeah.
I want to see the camera rolling while the three of them, because my understanding too from what posting he'd done before is that Ma Young's also kind of involved in that process a little bit as well. But I just love to see how that all comes together, like that has to be fascinating to watch. So hopefully they like document that at some point.
Yeah. I liked your question about, the inspiration of having a million riffs coming back off of COVID because, I mean, you're a musician and, not playing live for a year and a half or whatever it is. It's like that first time you get back out there. It's powerful. And so it's got to be like, especially for a band as prolific as they are, like incredibly invigorating. So I thought that was a really good question to ask, talking about, how much did you come up with as a result of this? Like, I thought that was cool, man.
Yeah. So, something I did want to ask, and it kind of didn't seem, I don't know, I don't want to say appropriate, but because we just had a pandemic, but I kind of wanted to know, like, okay, if it's a normal tour cycle, album, whatever, blah, blah, they do solo stuff too. Like, who's the first guy that goes, hey man, I'm jonesing to get, DT back to write the new album? I want to know who the first guy is. It's probably Petrucci, huh? You think?
I would think so. I mean, he and Jordan, obviously, we know that they're recognized as like the leader guys. So you would think it would come from both of them, and probably John. He seems to be the guy that like pushes a little harder, I would say. Being there from the beginning. So I would guess that would be accurate.
Yeah, just the aspect of like, the first guy, it's like, man, I really want to get back and do this, like it's just to somebody else from time to time, it's just curious.
Yeah. I kind of also wanted to ask him, like the differences between, I couldn't really find a way to phrase it, but I had read that, the Dream Theater show on this cycle, they wanted to, have such a solid show nailed down, with the visuals and everything that it's pretty much dialed in. So they didn't leave themselves a lot of room for improv. So I'm wondering, if Jordan on this tour, like that's like how it feels to kind of do the opposite. Like he's kind of got free reign to do whatever the hell he wants to, but I couldn't really, Really couldn't figure out a good way to phrase that without it sounding stupid, so I decided to leave that out. So that would have been kind of dumb. So, Aiken says the first guy to bring it up would be the manager. Very good point, man. Very good point.
Yes.
I can't believe I blew getting that ID. I've never had to do that before, so I didn't know what I was supposed to do. And I think Jordan was sitting backstage for like another minute or two. I was like, I think I messed something up. So, big gaffe.
We're doing it live. So, I mean, we could have just stopped and said, okay, we're doing the ID here. Everyone just hang on for 2 seconds.
Yep. He had something going on in his kitchen. We need to get an ID. Like, just let's deal with it here. It's the power of live video.
Maybe we can, maybe he'll be kind enough to give us like 5 minutes to do that again another point in time or something.
It takes like 30 seconds, but
right.
Yeah. So real quick, this is a show that you went to, and I know you went to with one of our listeners, viewers, Robert Reams. You met up with him. So Adam Rishog wants to know, you saw Haken and Symphony X last week in Vancouver. Incredible show. Thoughts on those two bands?
You sure that wasn't for Jordan?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was a great show. You must have missed, I think I talked about it a little bit, but yeah, man, I mean, I thought it was, especially Haken. I went into that really not knowing much, and then I found their set list and then just downloaded, started listening to it. And I was like, wow, this is a really, really cool, fun band.
Yeah.
Very musical and prog and rock and some 80s thrown in there too. But yeah, Symphony X, Russell Allen just put on a vocal clinic on how to still sound amazing, doing cool rock stuff. And they did the whole Odyssey, which was awesome live. And yeah, man, great show.
Yeah, that's, Haken is difficult for me. It's I've tried to get into it, and I kind of dig it, but it's not something that I'm oh, this is like the craziest, type of thing I've ever heard. Like, I've got to listen to this more. It was an interesting listen for me.
Yeah, it takes a few. It takes a few because they're kind of all over the place. Even the set that they did, you're like, oh, this doesn't sound like that, and that doesn't sound like this, and it's kind of a mix of, I don't know, Yes, and some heavier prog stuff, and the singer's got a cool voice. I like his voice a lot.
Yeah,
he's done it good.
Symphony X, though. I mean, you and I obviously we just recently did that episode of discography discussion. So if you guys want to check that out, it's a really kick-ass podcast that I'm good friends with Joe, the guy who runs it, and it's like last month, I think, wasn't it, or was it end of April? But Brian and I sat down and we went through the whole catalog of Symphony X. So if you guys want to check that out, just look up discography discussion and look up the Symphony X episode, and that would be Brian and I. So go ahead and check that out.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a rock metal band that anyone's ever heard of, like those guys have done a show on it. I mean, I don't know, there's exactly. Like close to 300 episodes. I mean, there's 50 bands on there I never even heard of, in addition to all the main heavy hitters. I mean, those guys they go deep into stuff. So if you're into rock and metal in general, and you're it's almost guaranteed you'll find an episode on a band there.
Yeah. Robert Reams, in terms of Haken, he says, like all prog music, they are like scotch, an acquired taste. You either like it or hate it. So yeah, I'm in the middle. So, and I like scotch, so maybe it'll be like scotch and it'll grow on me. So so one thing that we do have coming up that kind of ties into my vacation, we have a couple interesting things coming up on the show. So we are going to be doing an album deep dive coming up here in one of these future episodes, probably the next couple months, regarding a band that influenced Dream Theater, probably the influence on Dream Theater. We are going to be digging into Rush's Moving Pictures record, because, Brian, that is your favorite Rush record. And on my Star Wars show, the Nerf Herder Council, I found out that the guy who created Star Wars Celebration, that's the official Lucasfilm Star Wars fan convention. I was just there in Anaheim last week. The guy who started it all, come to find out, he is an enormous Rush fan. And I asked him, like, well, I saw him at the convention. I was like, would you want to come on my music show and talk about Rush? He says, hell yeah. And I was like, we're going to talk Moving Pictures. And he said, that's my favorite record. So I get to kind of combine, my two favorite things, Star Wars and Dream Theater, and kind of, do this episode. So we're going to be doing that. And then we also got confirmation. We just have to schedule a time to figure out how to do it, because this guy's in England. But we're going to be having author Rich Wilson on the show to talk about his fantastic Dream Theater biography, Lifting Shadows. If you guys do not have a copy of that, go on Amazon and get the paperback. It's the extended version, because the original version came out before Portnoy left, and then once Portnoy left, he actually added a chapter talking about Mike leaving. So that is an absolutely fantastic read. I pre-ordered the book. I know if he's still in the chat, Sean Faust, a new friend of ours, like he pre-ordered the book. And it's just a great read. And we reached out to Rich to see if he would come on and talk about the book and, some stuff that he, did to put that thing together. And he said he would come on. So we just got to coordinate schedules between England and America, which, obviously we did that with Paul Logue. So we'll figure it out.
Yeah, that was a great read. You recommended it to me, and I was lucky to get the new edition with the, the post Portnoy stuff too. So I'm gonna definitely have to reread it, because I feel like there's times when I'm like, wait, did they say this? And then I can't remember, so I want to go back and refresh myself on a lot of it too. And it'll be interesting to see like how much of a fan he is too. Like is it more of a fan, or from a writer's perspective, or how do you balance the line when you're like writing something like that?
Yeah, like Peter O'Rulean was a fan, and he knew John when it came to writing The Astonishing, the novel for that, the novelization. But that'd be a good question to ask Rich. I don't know where his affiliation with the band lies, so that would be something interesting. I was so excited I was so excited to get that book when I heard it was announced, and they said you can go pre-order it, and it's a special version called Images and Words, and it's actually 2 books. It's, Lifting Shadows is, the words part, and then Images. It's actually a book of nothing but pictures that, coincide with each chapter. So it's a really cool way to experience the book, and it was kind of cool. They have like a Hall of Fame or whatever they call it in the back, so anybody who pre-ordered it, their name's in there, so my name's in the back and all that crap. But yeah, I read music biographies, like even by artists I don't like. I don't know if you're that way, Brian, but this is a really good music biography, and not just because it's about Dream Theater. Yeah, how about unmute yourself?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I've read. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think what I've read all the Kiss solo books. Obviously they didn't write a book together, but have you read all those?
I have read all 4 of the Kiss biographies. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So I've read all of those. I even read Gene's, because he do 2 of those asshole, or no, that was the album. He did a separate book also that was like kind of, I don't know, that was rough.
Something about business or something. He's kissing his own ass or whatever.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, and I've obviously read the Dirt and whatever, and I think a Michael Jackson one, and but yeah, it's just, we talk about it before, but I kind of wanted to ask Jordan about this too, because it's always like, I could ask this of every artist that we ever talk to, and they never get old question, like this balance of talent and drive. Like everyone knows Jordan was basically a prodigy, right? That's well documented. But the drive, like, just because you're the prodigy doesn't mean you have the drive. So it's like, I'd love to know like his thoughts on where that comes from, because I don't think it just sort of just shows up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, a perfect example would be, Eddie Van Halen. It's, the guy is like known for having all this music, like, years and years worth of tapes at 5150. And yet, after the Sammy years, they put out the Gary Sharon record and A Different Kind of Truth, and that's it. I mean, it's really weird, like, for a guy that has all that stuff. So it's like, yeah, where is that line? Because he's motivated to write and, make sure that he records it and stuff like that. But he's not putting out full records or anything like that. So it's like, man.
I wonder if it comes from like just a natural, like, I don't want to say disenchantment, but just experience with singers, maybe, maybe it's like I was cool stuff. Oh, now I got to deal with a singer, and
it could be. So real quick, guys, I know, Robert Husted, you asked, I don't know if the link's going to work. I'm terrible at this stuff, but it probably isn't going to work. But Robert Husted wants to know, does the book say that it's the new version on the cover, or is it just the last chapter? The new part is the last chapter. I tried to put a link in the chat, but I don't know if that works or not. But
yeah, it says something like updated or something in the bottom of the description.
Yeah, I think it might be just for the soft cover, the paperback. So if you look that up on Amazon, that's where I found it. Just look up Lifting Shadows, the authorized biography of Dream Theater, and you'll find it. So yeah, I mean, that's a really good question about like drive and talent and stuff like that. Because, talk about a guy like Vito Bratta. That guy is like one of the most incredible guitar players on the planet, and he just up and quit playing. Yeah. Like the guy was untouchable, and then all of a sudden, he just I'm done.
Well, he had the drive. He had the drive to get to that level, though, at least. But I guess maybe then that's more about sustaining it. Sustaining the drive. I guess I don't know. Yeah, that whole thing is.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. It's just fascinating because, we started off, and I was going to ask him about. Do you remember when I put up that logo of that band Jordan was in, that Speedway band?
Yeah,
the Grand Prix or what it was called? I can't remember.
Yes,
I wanted to ask him about that as a joke, but I'm just like, did you ever think, back then you're just kind of playing synths and keys in this sort of 80s pop rock, hard rock band that, you'd literally be like, literally a musical, people can say they're a music influencer, but not to the degree that Jordan is, literally influencing technology and the way music is read and heard and seen, and I don't know, it is fascinating. Like his take about, the technology versus the natural sound or whatever, and it's just like, look, this is just all part of it. I mean, this is
yeah.
I mean, music is music, whether it's the keyboard and the hammer hits the string on the piano and it's a percussive sound, and or someone designs an app to, make the most screwed up sounding evil guitar synth / lead sound or whatever.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he answered the question for me, but when you started talking about that, I was going to ask him, the keyboard is known, especially synthesizer, is known as like a pretty cold instrument. You can't get a lot of feel out of it. I mean, you're a keyboard player, that. And I was going to ask him, like, where does that come from? How do you do that? And he started mentioning, the mini Moog, and which I always thought was a Moog, by the way, but apparently it's a Moog. Or I'm going to go with how Jordan pronounced it. He knows more than I do. So, he's talking about, like, twisting the knobs to get it in there. And then I'm really glad he brought up the continuum, because that's the one where it's like, it's, just so touch sensitive. And, like, where do you draw the line? Like, how do you keep coming up with new ideas? Like, how can there constantly be, well, here's this other, electronic whiz bang I can come up with? Like, that's fascinating to me. And it's like, where does that come from? And it's just, it's such a cool thing to think about. We showed that weird keyboard that is like a half circle. Right. Like what goes through your head where you go, you know what, I need a keyboard in a half circle? Like, that's just crazy.
Did Aiken post that? How much did Vito have to hate Tramp to retire?
Yeah. How much did Vito Bratta have to hate Mike Tramp to literally retire for good? We've officially got White Lion talk on Talking into Infinity.
I love it.
Giovanni Palaya, good to see you, buddy. He says, Lifting Shadows is a great read. First impression after finishing it, how is this band still together? And 6 months later, I got my answer. There you go. Perfect timing. Yeah, the cool thing about that book is that it's a lot of these, like, biographies, like, they'll 2/3 of it'll be the first couple years of a band, like the really popular stuff, the formative years, and then the later stuff, it's like 2 pages per album and you're done. And this one really isn't like that. I mean, it really digs into each of the records. I think the last one that it touches on is Systematic Chaos, I think the original version, and then the updated version has stuff about Black Clouds, and then obviously Portnoy leaving after that touring cycle. But I mean, there's so much in this book. It just doesn't stop giving you information, and it's fascinating, man. It's really cool. It keeps you reading, and you're learning about stuff. And again, it was awesome to learn a ton about albums like, like Train of Thought, just the same as you would learn about something like Awake. So you guys definitely should go out and get that. That is just very, very cool.
Well, when a band like has zero interest in, like, sex and drugs and stuff, then you're only going to be able to write about the cool stuff, which is like the stuff that we want to hear about. Like,
I know.
I don't know if you remember in Gene's one book, he was talking about, I think I brought this up before, I can't remember what show it was, but it was like, Kiss is having a party down the hall, and Rush is the opener, and it's like, we banged on their door and tried to get them to come out. We open it up, and they're, Geddy Lee's in there reading a book.
Yeah.
And they played like Farewell to Kings for him, and like they played it like twice or something in the van, and Gene just looking at him like, I don't have any idea what you guys are doing. Like, he thought it was the worst thing he'd ever heard in his life and didn't think they'd go anywhere. So, I don't know, it's just kind of fascinating. But it's just the whole idea, and we talked about it before, of how they started. And it's just like, okay, we're gonna haul all those drums, all those guitars, all those amps, all the microphones, the PA, we're gonna haul that down there. We're going to practice for 6 hours. Then we got to haul it all back up. Just the dedication and the discipline to do something like that. And that was just for a 2-year or 1-year period of time. And then the idea that they, 7-8 hours a day. I mean, my Young's on record is saying he practices probably 9 hours a day or something.
Yeah.
I mean, like you talked about the word like discipline. I mean, you talk about discipline. I mean, I guess there's a difference between discipline and drive. I mean, that's discipline right there,
Well, Well, it's a collection of guys that actually still love to do it at its most basic level, just playing the instrument. It's okay because it's one thing to, I would say, to like have the drive and the talent and everything, but after they've been around for like 3+ decades. It's at some point it's got to be like, okay, it's a job, but for them, like, they're still playing every day, they're still rehearsing every day, and for Jordan, like, creating new technologies every day. It's like, this is really what they love the most, and that's kind of hard to find. You read about bands all the time that talk about when they're not on the road, they don't play, they don't sing, they don't do anything, they just want to break from music. And man, these guys don't at all. They're just like, this is what I do, man. I'm going to keep playing even when we're off tour.
And I think that really shows in John Petrucci more than any other guitar player or musician in any other band. Like, it shows how passionate and into it he is, because he continues to come up with these just like hair on the back of your neck solos that are so melodic. And it's just like every song, every album, well, let's just up it a little bit more. Let's up it a little bit more. It's like, how many more of these epic melodies do you have in you? Like,
yeah,
it seems like the supply is endless. And that's how I know that he enjoys doing it, because he keeps coming up with these. And it's like, they're just note for note perfect. And the solos are not just like a bunch of noodling that just, you know what I mean? Like, the solos are very specific and melodic and fit the framework. And it just shows how much this guy just is a fan of the creative process.
Yeah. So I got to throw up something personal here. The guitar player in my band, one of my two guitar players, Jonah Clayton Mize, he jumps in the chat. What's up, John? Like, none of my guys has ever checked out either of my shows. So that's kind of funny. What's up, Jonah? We're going to tear that motherfucker down tomorrow and Saturday, bro. So a couple quick notes, and then we'll get out of here. Wanted to let you guys know that Sean Faust, who was in the chat earlier, he did something really cool for us. He actually had a whole bunch of the mini programs from the Astonishing tour in 2017. He still had a stock of them. They're not like the full size, but they're like, the ones you get handed when you come in, and he's like, do you guys want those for giveaway? I said, yeah. So if any of you guys watching or listening would like to get a mini program from the 2017 Astonishing tour, just shoot us an email at talkingintoinfinity@gmail.com and just give us your name and address, and we'll shoot one out to you. We'll cover the postage and everything. I don't care about that. Just if anybody wants them, some cool, like, Dream Theater history from, pretty divisive tour, but a tour that I thought kicked absolutely all kinds of ass. So yeah, talkingintoinfinity@gmail.com if you guys want to get one of those. It's our buddy David Ellis, man. Haven't seen him in a bit. What's up, David? He says, good luck for your gig from Australia. Thanks, man. Hope you guys are doing good, man. Yeah, to Australia. Yeah, I'll ship to Australia. I don't know how, but I'm sure the post office can help me do it. So
really quick, to sort of summarize this, 17 months ago, we started this show. Almost 18, right?
Yeah.
Like, goofing around. I mean, did you ever think in a million years that we'd have Jordan Rudess on the show? Like, I don't know. It's almost like
no.
I'm kind of like so out of it, I can't like even process it right now. Like, I'm sure it's gonna hit you later. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. He just seems so normal and down to earth that I was like, I thought like laser beams were gonna be coming out of his head or something. His wizard arms were gonna be doing something. His hands.
Right.
Like lightning or something. But it's like, did you ever think in a million years that we'd have Jordan Rudess on the show? I mean, it's mind blowing if I really sit back and think about it.
Yeah, no, I didn't, and it's because when you brought up the idea to do the show, I do it because I love Dream Theater, and I love podcasting and stuff, and it's like a creative outlet for me. And so I was just like, hell yeah, I'll talk about Dream Theater. It was never, I'm going to start a show so I can get Dream Theater on it. And, the fact that it's happened, and, the guests that we've had on, we had, their sound guy on, we've had, their graphics guy on, we've had their author on, we're going to have, their biographer on, June 25th is a whole nother can of worms. June 25th, it's a Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Do not miss that. As soon as we have official confirmation, we'll be announcing exactly what it is, but trust me, Saturday, June 25th at 2 p.m., just make sure that you're tuning into the show. Yeah, I never did. And I just figured we're gonna do our dumb show and talk about Dream Theater. We're gonna nerd out about our favorite band with a bunch of other people who, it's their favorite band. Hopefully, people will jump in and talk to us about them. And it's just been been a crazy ride, man. It's a total blast. And then, like you said, to have Jordan on today was so surreal. I'm in the middle of the intro, and all of a sudden I see the window pop up in the green room, and I was like, man, oh man, okay, here we go. So, and making it even worse was we didn't even get to talk to him beforehand to be like, okay, here's how we do it. We do bring comments up. I just had to be like, hey, man, here's Jordan, and go.
Well, I'd love to know too, like, has he ever actually listened to an episode? I mean, probably not, but I just want to know, like, his thoughts if he heard us doing, oh, here's the Dream Theater Gateway songs, or here's the prog ones for the prog. I don't know. I just love to see what but he's got a lot more important things to do than listen to our talk about him, I guess.
Yeah. See, David Ellis can relate. He says, this is exactly what happened when I started the fan club in Australia and New Zealand. Fans start it, and when we meet our idols, it blows our mind. Yeah, that's exactly right, man. Like, like I said, this is the first time I've ever, had to show host. I won't use solo again, Brian. That was a poor term there.
But balls.
Like, yeah, it's the first time I've had to like host a show where there's an interview with somebody of that stature, and it was just completely nerve-wracking, but it was cool because, in the past, like in the early 2000s, I did interviews for Chris Aiken. He had a music magazine called Music's Bottom Line, and I did interviews, and it was phone interviews, and I would then transcribe them for the magazine. But man, you wouldn't believe how many times you'll talk to a musician, they'll give you like a two-sentence answer. And then you got to and then because you'll write down a number of questions, but then their answers are so short, that you run out of stuff to ask them. You're like, good Lord, dude, like, could you? But Jordan was not like that at all. He was very, expressive, and he had awesome, long, informative answers to the point where he ate up a couple of my questions because he talked about stuff I was going to ask about. It was awesome.
Man, I'm dying to hear this 15-minute medley now. I wanted to ask him how many songs are actually in it.
Yep. I the one thing I did want to ask, I'm like, all right, since you have the floor, none of the other guys are on the show, like, do you have one Dream Theater song that you always wanted to play live and you haven't been able to force your way into a set list yet?
Yeah, I had a couple.
He's got one.
I had a couple like that. I had one like, what song takes the most prep work if you see it's coming? It's just, I don't know. It's a bit. I don't know. It would be awesome if we could, like, and this is gonna sound so greedy, but like, if we could get them back on and just hammer away at just like Dream Theater rapid fire questions, like, and then have the listeners do it too. But I'm not.
Well, yeah. Well, that's one of the things that I hope that it happens, if you're talking greedy stuff like pie in the sky. Oh,
right.
JG3 checking in. What's up, JG3? Good to see you, man. Hopefully you caught the beginning of the show. If not, then uh-oh. But, yeah, I mean, if we do get the guys on, if we, first of all, that's awesome. But if we're able to get them on a non-touring cycle, just like, during their off time, it would be cool to ask them questions like that and have, the viewers and fans and stuff like that, hit them up with some questions and just kind of talk Dream Theater in general. Just have like a general Dream Theater bullshit session. Like, that would be really, really cool. So,
well, think about that too. I guess I forgot that 6 Degrees was his second Dream Theater album. I mean, that's how many people like come in and that's their second album with a group they're with, something to that magnitude. I mean, it's got to be like, I don't know.
Yeah. So, Aiken, you bring up a good point. You bring up a very good point. So Jordan does do all of his like contact stuff through his Patreon now, guys. So if you want to become a member, just go to patreon.com/Jordan Rudess. And, it starts at $5 a month, which is, pretty much peanuts. So if you want to do $25 per month, he's got 18 spots with that remaining. So, again, just go to patreon.com/Jordan Rudess. He's got a lot of stuff, going on there. So make sure to check that out. All right. So JG3, it's been a long week. My grandfather passed away. I'd been staying with him for a little bit because he was on hospice. Very sorry to hear that, man. Very, very sorry to hear that, man. Hope everything's going good with the family there.
Condolences, buddy.
Look at this. Robert Reams. James LeBrie just released a solo album, Opportunity there, and he does your intro. Sounds like it should happen.
Not a bad idea.
Not a bad idea. June 25th.
I got an idea for an episode talking about Jordan's Patreon. I mentioned this before. I'm going to join Jordan's Patreon, and I'm going to do an episode on what's in there.
Do it.
You don't sound that excited about it.
No, do it. That'd be great. Because I was like, okay, well, I don't think I would have any input because it's all keyboard stuff, and so that would definitely be something you could pull off.
Playthroughs and sound design stuff on songs. I think he's doing that on that USIC thing too, which I wanted to ask him about, but that's like a different platform.
Yeah.
But the Patreon has a lot more stuff in it. But yeah, I will join. I'll probably have you pay for it, of course, but I will join. You can write it off as a business expense.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether believe me or the Nerf Herder Council
for taxes
to their credit card.
Exactly. Oh my God. I already paid for the StreamYard.
I'm excited though, because like you said, we're going to do a deep dive on moving pictures at some point. That's going to be cool. We know we're talking with Paul Logue about the Libri album again. That's going to be awesome. Yep. And I don't know, the show, hopefully I'll be able to go to that show in July. So you got a show that night then already? Or?
Yeah, when he announced it, I was like, damn it, it's on a Saturday. It's only like 25 minutes from me. Yeah. And I have a gig, man. I'm like, son of a bitch. Yeah. I wish it was one of those ones I could cancel. Sorry guys, got something else going on.
Yeah, right.
But yeah. Well, this was a fun one, man. This was a fun one. So we got a lot of stuff going on. Again, if you want to get a mini Astonishing tour program, just shoot us an email at talkingintoinfinity@gmail.com. If you'd like to give us show ideas, you can send them there as well. We try to take your guys' thoughts into consideration. Can't use everything, obviously, but we do listen to you guys, as you know. And again, Saturday, June 25th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Put that one on your calendars because it's definitely going to be a very, very cool episode. And as soon as we can announce all the details, we will be sure to do so. The next episode may be on a different night. We have to find out because 2 weeks from tonight, I'm supposed to be at Sammy Hagar. So we'll have to figure something out. Or you can just do a solo show or bring on somebody else. Do what I did with Matt Wardlaw. It's up to you.
We'll see. That requires a lot of technical coming together, unfortunately. So we'll see. I'll talk to Chris and see if he has any ideas.
All right. Well, so all you guys in the chat, we really appreciate it. Sean Faust, Robert Reams, JG3, David Ellis, Cale McLeish, Adam Rishog, all you guys. Liquid Shadows, thanks for checking it out. Brandon Shuttleworth. Much appreciated to all you guys for hanging out and checking the show out. Again, we are here live every other Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Facebook, YouTube, talkingintoinfinity.com or the cmsnetwork.com. Please be sure to check out Heavy Metal Television. Go check out Jordan Rudess's Patreon page and throw him a few bones. Patreon.com/Jordan Rudess. And he is Brian. I am John. And until next time, guys, Carpe